So, got 4 of them on their way.
It's pretty dangerous.
Set of 5 or set of 4. I'm not. They're 7,500 and snow for 4. It was 1,800.
Let's get married.
It is 6 o'clock. Welcome everyone to the City of Smith Center business meeting. We have a land bank scheduled at 6:30, so if we're still in session, we'll take a recess for our land bank meeting. We have some policy procedures we want to talk about. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes from the April 28th meeting? Would there be any additions or corrections to those April 28th meeting minutes? Has everybody had a chance to look over your vouchers and receipts? If everything's in order, I'll need a motion to approve the minutes and the bills and receipts.
Make the motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We have a special guest this evening. Brady?
So Thursday night, I saw on Facebook that a food truck from the county, not Smith Center, was advertising that they were going to be serving at the Wagner Park, but they had the mill open, so their customers could go inside on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. I just want to make sure that I don't really feel like it's fair to restaurants in town that are paying. I mean, I just wrote $8,000 worth of checks today for half of my year's worth of property taxes for the 2 restaurants. I feel like that if we're going to allow commercial use of municipal buildings and properties, I mean, where we're going to go, this next summer, I'm probably going to run $1,000 air conditioning bills. I could shut the restaurant down, I can haul my food down the mill, and I could use the city's electricity to sell food out of. I feel like that you need to clarify for your staff who's allowed to use your, properties, especially if they're gonna be making money in it.
Was this at the park?
Yeah, Wagner Park. I didn't get down there Saturday night to see because I was short-staffed, just like every weekend.
Did some prom have somebody that
Yeah, was it
graduated?
some special deal or something? What?
As far as I know, it was, you'd have to ask who actually reserved it, but Susan they posted themselves that they were there. You have to order ahead of time for them. And they posted, I took a screenshot of that. That's what I saw. I know they had people down there. I don't know if I don't know if the mill was actually opened up. They're just using the gazebos and stuff. But I just think there ought to be some clarity for reserving that stuff, especially if they're going to be selling food. If they want to go to Red Side Park, they're not using utilities up there. That's fine. If they want to park the park, I can understand that too, as long as they're not using city utilities to compete with me. That's my gripe. Is if they're getting into the building, they're using your guys' electricity. They're using your water.
Did they pay anything for the mill?
Yes, $25 a day. That was what they can afford to anybody. I think I'm not sure about this time, but when they called and inquired about it before, they wanted it opened up in case it was hot. So if somebody wanted to go inside, they weren't going to be selling out of the mill, but I wasn't down there either. I was gone over the weekend. But they wanted to have it open in case it was warm or the weather changed, so they'd have a place for someone to go in and sit.
Have we ever had anything happen like this before where we addressed anything? Anybody remember?
I don't know that we've addressed anything, but we've had like the baked goods and such like that. We had a coffee truck from Osborne that was here most of the winter up on the highway.
But they're
We've
not
had
using.
like Paradise Eats.
Well,
and
I'm
such
talking
at-
about use of
At roadside,
city property for commercial.
yeah, at roadside, I don't know if they use electricity or not. We do have electricity out there, but
I don't think she
the
did.
group that does the farmer's market uses the electricity out there, but we don't charge for roadside. We just charge for the mill.
What about here? Has anybody ever like rented the basement and then like sold food or sold like whatever out of it,
ladies' night and things like that.
but that's kind of
They've
like
had
put
nights
on by
kind
the
of
chamber.
function.
And then
I'm
cater.
talking about an
Caterers.
independent
Yeah.
business going in and using your guys' property. Our property. Not your guys'.
I know they've had bake sales here for charities,
Sure.
clubs and that kind of thing.
That's what I was gonna ask about. Was this something that they brought these people in for, something like that? Or
I think they've
is it
been
just Saturday
traveling
night dining?
all over. They've been in Mankato a few times, so I don't.
Well, I know
where
food
else.
trucks are popular,
Yeah.
they're all over, but I don't know.
I just know that we're heading down this road. I know that there's another person in town that just started using a food truck. And if we're gonna open up the mill for them to compete against me, you're gonna start hurting I'm paying water, I'm paying your water bill, I'm paying taxes, if you guys are open enough to compete with, multiple food trucks are coming. It's not even an event. I guess that's my thing. This wasn't, Old Settlers Day. This wasn't, this is just graduation weekend. There wasn't,
And there was no fundraiser for anybody.
there was, I
Nobody
don't
got-
believe there was fundraising. They weren't advertising.
Nobody
Usually,
got a
if there's a
cut out of it.
fundraiser, there's usually advertising in it. That's a good selling point.
I think we ought to research and see what other communities are doing for their properties for commercial use.
Yeah, I can look into it and see if there's any sort of regulation or anything out there. Obviously, as a council, you're welcome to make your own policies as far as that goes. There's nothing to prevent you from doing that. It doesn't sound like the use is much different than anybody else who rents it out. They paid $25. They weren't cooking in there or anything, like if I rent it out for a party and I have a bunch of kids in there, I'm using the water and the refrigerator and the electricity. Sounds like their use is about the same. It seems like what Brady's gripe isn't that they were cooking in there or using
No,
it commercially. Other than that, they
But
reserved it and used it as a dining room for their restaurant, basically,
Yeah.
right? Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm talking about. In July here, heating and cooling my dining room for a month's going to cost me over $1,000 per restaurant.
Sure.
So that, if we're going to start talking about that road,
So would we be
Sense.
open to any food truck as long as they don't use utilities? Can
We
anybody,
already are open. You can come and park your food truck all sorts of places. That's not the
do we have
problem.
do we have anything touching that?
I
reaching that?
don't believe you guys have even when I was here, we didn't have a policy about using utilities at all.
For the $25, you do get some use of utilities, that's what
Yeah.
the $25.
Yeah, but that's usually
And
just
if
for
that
like
doesn't cover it,
tower,
we'll
like,
raise it to $2,050.
but this is basically
Just raise it.
kids' parties and stuff like that. That's different than this. This is
Yeah, I don't- And I don't want them not coming to town. I like Center Fire. I don't think it's fair if they can open up the mill when I'm paying property taxes in town. You guys are getting a pretty good check from me. I know you're not getting that whole 8,000 that I wrote today, but you're getting a chunk of that. So,
And we appreciate it.
I just think it's something that needs to be looked at, because I'd be willing to bet, this isn't gonna be the first time that mill is gonna be there, somebody's gonna ask to use that mill for a food truck. I know there's a second food truck based in Smith Center, and I know Paradise East is in town, and if it gets out that the mill's available for them to open up, you're gonna have people calling about using that mill for food truck parked outside.
I think we need to look into it and see what other communities do if they even address it. What they do.
So what would you like them to do?
I guess I really don't want them in there if they're gonna be selling food outside the outlet. Unless it's a fundraiser, I just don't feel like it's fair to the businesses that are paying taxes.
So
Because
your proposal would be that they implement some kind of a policy that you can't rent the mill for commercial use. Like if you're a business.
You gotta be careful with it, because if they're pulling out there and they're doing something post-prom or something, I can understand that. It's hard,
Commercial.
well, I know,
Right.
but if a food truck's doing it, like, Watson Church does, I don't want to push anybody out. It's infuriating when you see something like that at 10 o'clock at night.
Brady, I agree with what you're saying. But another consideration is not only, I agree with the cost that you have to maintain the expenses of your facility, and that is definitely not fair. But at the same time, you know, that mill or any other taxpayer-funded complement to the community is a vehicle to bring stuff to town, you know? And I don't know if we want to shun, I mean, I, as you, like what they do. I don't like that it created an unfair advantage for them that day for you. And I wholeheartedly see where you're coming from 100%. But on the flip side, it's not like we don't want to bring people like them to town for the community, because that mill and the park and everything else is a, just as you mentioned, the taxes that you pay, well, the residents of Smith Center pay taxes to keep that mill operational. And so I don't know. I see what you're saying. I get it. It's not fair.
Well, I will also throw out that you got a restaurant downtown that's open, that would be property tax paying business, that has been sitting vacant for a year.
Yeah.
If you start allowing people in food trucks, that restaurant will never be full.
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking from support of that person that owns that building. I'm just speaking as a restaurant owner.
Do you think these food trucks are a fad, or they're here to stay?
You know how many times I sit there and I don't have staff to run a full service restaurant, and I sit here and think like, why the hell don't I have a food truck and I could go to town for event and
Yeah.
I can make a killing.
Right.
I could follow the crowd. Why do I have a restaurant open? Yeah, that's gone through my head multiple times.
Or
I
two
mean,
of them.
well, yeah, I mean, I 7 days, trying to keep a place open 6-7 days a week,
Yeah.
trying to keep it staffed. I mean, me and a food truck, I just got to find somebody else to sit beside me. And I don't have to pay a waitress. I don't have to pay cleaning. I don't have to pay property tax.
Utilities.
Good luck for the state of Kansas trying to find me for sales tax too, I guess.
I think we get into this. I don't know how we could stop anybody from coming in and opening their truck. Now, whether we subsidize that slightly by letting them use our electricity and the mill, I think that's a little bit different. Fundraisers, bake sales, but just the truck, I don't think we can't do anything about that. If he wants to set his truck up anywhere he wants to and sell his pizza.
Yeah.
But using our utilities, I think that's an issue.
That's kind of how I look at it, Don. I don't mind, food truck wants to park wherever he can, but if he wants to open up the mill, use the air conditioning as a cooler place, people can order pizza and walk in there and eat.
But he's paying rent on it, and that rent is same for a private individual wants to just have a birthday party in there. That covers that anyway.
I suppose that's another option to you all as well. If you can't decide, yeah, we want to disallow it, maybe you make it more expensive for a commercial business to rent it out versus an individual who's having a party. And maybe you want to have some sort of policy about, you have to come and pay $5 or whatever for a permit to park your food truck at the park, so you don't end up with 4 people all parked in the parking lot.
I do know that there are communities, and I've looked it on the countywide too, getting a local license. So you have the truck's obviously licensed under the Kansas Department of Ag, but then having a local license. And in that local license, you just basically pay your fee, $100 or something, for zero malt beverage or something. It's kind of the same process. And then you confirm that you have a license for the truck, and then you confirm that you're paying property or sales tax out of that truck. And that's something I'm even looking at the county level, because we do have in the county, 2% of our tax in the county goes to the county, and that's something we need to verify that the food trucks are paying their county tax.
So I think you guys have options as far as like what you would want to do as a policy. Do nothing, ban the use of it, make the use more expensive?
Oh, I don't want to
mean,
ban them. I don't want,
No, just the use of the mill for commercial
Yeah,
purpose.
But looking at the GL.
Right, I understand that you're not saying you don't want food trucks here.
yeah.
And the power bill at the mill last month was $79. So from an electrical standpoint, I don't know if we're, which it wasn't hot last month, right? But,
It's very nice and easy in it.
I don't know if we're giving away power necessarily, but it's an unfair advantage to a local guy.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think we're necessarily.
I mean, they've been to Red State Park multiple times. I haven't read a bit about them being in Red State Park.
Yeah.
It's when they're going into the mill. I mean, the next thing you know, they're going to use the Trader Center. I think you're going down a road that,
So again, I don't think we're necessarily losing money on utilities, but we're penalizing the local guy.
Okay, yeah.
You agree?
I agree with that.
You want us to check the local area?
Yeah, I'd like to have, if you would do some research on it, see if you can find anything, what any other cities have done. And put it on the agenda for 30 days from now, first meeting of May or June.
Thank you guys for looking into it.
Thanks,
Thanks,
greatly
Greg.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's the only guest we had tonight. We had the 204 agreement project. Have you guys had a chance to read this page, this monster? This is the basic engineering package for the 204 project.
This is just the construction engineering three-way contract between Wilson and Company, the city, and the state. You have verbally, of course, moved forward with it. This is the contract in writing for the next step.
I can make like I'm reading this.
It's everything you've already approved.
Okay,
wrapped
because
up in
I
a
can say,
package
Yeah.
For the engineering agreement.
Any questions, council, on this? Number 92 KA 598801, City of Smith Center, agreement between Wilson and Company and the City of Smith Center, the state of Kansas, and the Shreds.
do I remember this correctly? I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong. But when they're done with this project, they're done with 2 and 4
Correct. In the city limits.
in the city. Okay.
In the city limits. Questions, anyone? Don,
No.
Chris? No. Tracy?
No.
Ty?
No, sir.
Everett?
Nope.
Tabitha, you have any questions?
I don't.
Need a motion to approve project agreement number 236-25 with the Wilson Company.
So moved.
Got a motion, second?
Second.
Can I bring one thing up here? Back on G, clear back toward the back. Could somebody explain to me certificate regarding no boycott of Israel?
Yes.
What are we getting into? What is this?
I assume that it has something to do with the federal money that you're gonna get to do this project.
So, wow. Okay, I'm done.
Well, You know, it has to do with like the project that we did with the swimming pool. You know, we had to send out letters to 5 tribes that tried Indians, you know, for permission.
This almost makes it seem like if the company has an opportunity to buy something from Israel,
Well, go to R, because then you have the Buy America compliance. You agree to comply, and the America buying steel and everything, it's gonna be from America.
yeah, but that would just means you can't boycott Israeli stuff. So you would be expected that if the Israeli, oh, that's way above us, I don't think.
I don't think that it means all of that. I think it means that so whoever this company is that you're working with, right? The engineering company can't be engaged in this boycott of goods from Israel. So they have to sign a document that says, we don't boycott goods from this nation. It doesn't mean that they have to buy goods from them, just that they don't boycott them. And that's my assumption, the same as you're making an assumption. I don't have any more information than you do.
That's the way it's worded.
And it would be way beyond us. I mean, any business the company's doing anywhere with whoever.
Right. Yes.
And this Buy American thing, I think that's great.
Well, it seems like that's already a federal regulation, so it just is what it is.
Are we done? I have a motion on the table in a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. You want me to sign this document or you got other ones?
I've got an official, can you stop any money? Are you busy?
Yeah.
I want to double check that there isn't a third page on this. There's one page that's a little iffy. I'm not sure if they want me to sign that or you to sign that.
Well, it has both of us.
I'll check with that. No, there's another page. If you want to sign that one, you can. Doug will be here tomorrow, so I can.
Really?
Sure. Thank you.
We have designations and appointments under new business. We have the city judge is Mike Kirkhoff, city attorney. Tabitha, you still want to do that?
I suppose.
Okay, chief of police, Jamie, you still on board?
Yep.
All right, Jamie Marshall. Police officers, who do we have today? Who's the other two?
Josh Niles and Brett Becker.
Okay. Jill, you still our city clerk for today?
Will you hire somebody else?
Good luck.
Ditto.
Fill it in, Brian.
Fill it in. Treasurer, Melissa, you still on board?
Yeah,
All right. That is what we need to have done. Need a motion to approve those people? Second? Moved seconded to approve those folks for their positions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Sidewalk application, who do we have?
This is for the health department. Everything is in order. It's for just the section, of course, in front of the building on Main Street. They've included all of their property information from the county. Rick looked everything over and has approved it. I went through all the paperwork. The paperwork's all buttoned up. The Schwartz would like your approval to have them move forward. They're within their dollar amounts and guidelines. Their section, they will be paying for the section that's up by the building. That would be considered like an additional walkway.
Okay. Council, any questions with this project?
Jill,
Yeah.
Laura was asking about putting handrails up there too, kind of like on the other side of Main Street. Did she ask about that?
She did not with this, no.
I do know that she was asking, thinking about putting handrails up on that curb.
I will tell Rick and have him talk to her.
Everybody had a chance to look at that application. Any questions? Guy?
No.
Everett? Nope. Jason? Nope. Chris? John? Nope. Need a motion to approve sidewalk application for.
So moved.
Second. Moved seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. That's the only one we had?
Yes.
need to go on to the, what do we got, library board?
Judy Burgess is stepping down.
We need to accept Judy Burgess's resignation from library board. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Moving seconded to approve Judy Burgess's resignation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I need a motion here. We have Stacy Buckmaster and Sandra Wick. First termers, all right.
Let's keep her out of the house.
Any questions about the new board recommendations for members? If not, I need a motion to approve Stacy Buckmaster and Sandra Wick to the library board.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moving seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I abstained.
Yeah, Don abstains. We have here Jamie. Yeah, you're next. We have your request to move the city court cost from 54 to 94, which is equivalent with everybody else in the area. You want to talk about that, or?
Yeah, it's been probably 25 years since we had a raise in our court costs, so I'd say it's time, because I mean, everybody else has went up Kensington and Phillipsburg and around, so.
Comments on that? Council? Nope. Any comments? Need a motion to approve 94?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to raise our city court costs from $54 to $94 effective immediately. Jamie, do you have anything else to bring forward, council?
No, still working on the kids with the golf cart thing, trying to get the kids tracked down right now. Track and everything like that, so trying to get with their parents and talk to them, and I'm still trying to find out, Jill checking to see how much damage was done to the golf cart, so I have an idea when I visit with them, so.
Ever, do you have anything for Jamie?
Nope.
Ty?
No, sir.
Tracy?
No.
Don?
Nope.
Chris? Thank you, Jamie. Jill, do you have anything to bring forward the council?
Just a couple of quick things. Just a reminder, there's no regular meeting, second meeting for May. If something does come up, you'll have to go through the request as stated in the ordinance for a special meeting, or if we have something, we'll bring it to Bryce for such.
Okay.
Secondly, in your packet is a letter to read thoroughly when you have a minute, because she is the two scout leaders, Sherry Solomon and Lady Hughes, are thanking you for some of the work that's been done on the Scout House and the support. But they are asking about the windows of the Scout House, and they're needing to be replaced. I am not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they aren't original. The guys went and did some sealing on them a few years ago, and they are not in great shape. So we're asking if we can get some quotes, bring it to you to look at for possible replacement.
They're gonna go ahead and get the quotes in.
If agreeable.
Council, what do you think of that? New windows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get quotes on it.
Don?
Yeah, I'm fine. I think the idea of maybe even expanding that and making the building suitable for other activities to go on inside there.
I agree.
I need to look and see if there was, or if there were any stipulations when that was brought into the city.
What was that originally?
I need to find it. I haven't located anything on it yet.
Should,
There should be
should be on the
something,
deed,
yeah.
if there's like a covenant, a restricted covenant.
It's been-
I'll look that up
it's
before
been in
we move
town a
forward
long,
anything
long
else.
time.
You think they moved that in, or is it, they moved it in?
It was moved in.
And then that's all I've got.
I think it was a country church at one time.
Really?
But it's been there a long time.
I mean, if we're gonna put something into windows, let's
Mhm.
think about sprucing it up a little bit.
I agree. Where am I at? That's it. Anybody have anything for Jill? Don?
No.
Chris? Tracy, Ty?
No.
Melissa, do you have anything to bring for the council?
No, I don't think so.
Anybody have anything for Melissa? Eric, Ty?
Nope.
Tracy, Chris? Don?
Nope.
Tabitha, do you have anything to bring for the council?
No, I do not.
No, we're gonna have a land bank meeting. Would you please stick around? I'm gonna call a recess to our regular meeting so we can have a land bank meeting. This shouldn't take too terribly long, I don't anticipate. The wording in our, what is our bylaws or our minutes? When we approved last week, we have a performance contract, but we're given a deed before the right of way, and that's in our bylaws of the land bank to give a deed right away. And I've never,
I don't know if it is in the bylaws
Or the-
or not. I just know it's in your development agreements. The template that y'all are using for your development agreement has the land bank giving the deed to the seller or to the purchaser after they pay for it. And Bryce had suggested that maybe a better way to do that would be to put a deed in escrow, hold it until completion of the development before the purchaser got the deed, because it would make it less cumbersome if they walked away from the project. Because the way the contract is written now, it just says, you get the deed. If you don't finish the project, you have to deed it back. And so if somebody thumbs their nose at that and won't deed it back, then the only way to get it back is to sue them, which obviously wouldn't be difficult and you would be successful, but it just takes time and
why
money.
do it?
Yeah.
Why do it? And, I bought land on Seller Carry before, and when you do, you write up a contract. It's a contract for deed, and it's a performance contract. You take that to the registered deeds office and register it, record it as a performance contract, so the seller can't resell it. So if anybody does any research on it, that contract is on file with the buyer and the seller. And you don't have a closing until that contract's paid off. I've bought several parcels of land that way. And I just about floored me when I heard that we were given a deed on a property with a performance contract attached to it instead of just a right to check and a juror's sale. We're putting performance to these contracts. And I find out later that we have a non-performing contract that we've got to go get a deed on a $500 piece of property. And Tabitha's right, but why do we want to suggest ourselves to going to court with somebody over a $500 piece of property? That's not, I just think.
I
that's
did,
nuts.
when Bryce brought it up and said, here's what I'd like to do, I did do a little research for him, and I also asked, just basically the listserv, right? Other city attorneys in the association, like, hey, what are your cities doing with your land banks in this way? And it seems like most of them handle them kind of on a case by case. If the person needed funding from the bank, if they needed a loan, it might be more beneficial to them to have the deed, depending on what the bank says, et cetera. But I found at least 4 or 5 other city attorneys who emailed me back and said, yes, we do it this way. We put the deed in escrow. You just have to find, a reliable third party to hold it until the project's done or whatever. So it's not unheard of. It certainly is done in other places. And if that's something that you all want to do, you can do that. You'll just need to amend the template that you've been using for your development agreements.
I don't know that we'd have to put a deed in escrow. I just think we have to have a delayed closing to.
Well, what you're talking about though is not with like yours is the satisfaction of your performance is money. That's it. Right, in this case, that's not it. So you need an unbiased third party to say, yes, the work is done. We can't be the party who says, oh, the work's not done, because then you wind up going, oh, well, yeah, it is. And you get into an argument, which is why you need a third party who says, yes, the work is done. You've satisfied the contract. Here's your deed. That's what
But if you have,
the other,
if you have the abstract office do that, will they do that for what kind of a fee?
I have no idea. I can ask.
Because we don't want to be responsible, you know, if the fee's $250, we don't want
Sure.
to sell a $300 project. So I think this is something we need to really check into before we turn this over to another group and get this thing lined out so where it operates smoother.
Mhm.
Without the deed, can they perform all the things they need to do to build the property? Utilities, city inspection, all that, can they do all that without a deed in hand?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, I'm asking.
Yes, you can.
I don't know the answer to that.
You know, I've bought land over several years and you can finance it at the bank. You can take a second on it even if you wanted to. You can put your crops out and borrow the money against it. It's still a contract. You don't have to have a deed. If you have a contract for a deed, you're still legal.
I mean, it makes sense to make a hold on to the deed with that.
Yeah, it's just a delayed closing is all it
Yeah.
amounts to.
So who would be the escrow? I mean, would we have to hire a bank to do escrow or how that?
I don't know. That's what Bryce just asked as well. I can ask the title company in town what that would look like on their end, what that would cost for them to do that, or if it would be part of their like closing package, you know, here's what that costs, and you can pass that cost on the same way any other seller would. So that's something to consider as well in your development agreement. You know, here's how this works. You're gonna pay this cost. When you finish your project, you'll get your deed. So there are ways to handle it, I think, that wouldn't necessarily cost the land bank more money. So I can ask the title company that and find out,
What have we done in the past?
just given the deed.
Just give them the deed. And like we say, we haven't had very many properties right through the land bank, but we've got one that's an explosion already. If the guy on Main Street don't want to give it back, we got a problem. We got to go through legal action.
He has the deed.
Yeah. And the total non-performance thing. You know, how many times did we give him extensions on that? Bunch. Probably almost 2 years worth. By the time he had added up, and he still has a deed, and hadn't been there for a year. So I think that's not very smart on our part by allowing somebody for that to happen.
We would hope it wouldn't, but we've got to protect ourselves.
Well, exactly, you gotta protect the community
Yeah.
and you don't wanna get crossways over $1,000 piece of property and spend more money chasing it than what it's worth.
So how would that work from a liability perspective? We own the deed, but if it's, if somebody dies during construction, is it all on them? How does that work?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well,
Your contract,
Currently, the development agreement does state that whoever the developer does have to secure their own insurance for all of that type of stuff.
Well,
yeah, so what you're
Right.
saying is, oh, we still own it, right? So if we still have the deed, but arguably, it's a different state of ownership, right? It's not, real estate's not my like area of law, so I'm not an expert, but it seems as though if your contract says this person has purchased this property and will get the deed after they've met certain conditions, just the same way they can go to the bank with that contract and say, we'd like to borrow some money, we own this, we need money to finish the project, right? That they should still be able to get insurance and do all of those other things as well. And a couple of the city attorneys that responded to me I spoke with them and they said, oh yeah, we'll share our templates with you, our documents with you. And I haven't actually gotten the documents. I even emailed one of them back yesterday and said, hey, you were gonna send me those. I still haven't seen them. So hopefully I'll hear from them soon, but I can also give you like the cities if you want, because maybe you'll have more luck if you just reach out directly to their city clerk or their land bank person, I don't know, and get them directly from them. Maybe it'll be faster. So I'll let you know what those cities were too.
So what does this do to the property that has been voted on?
Nothing. You already have an agreement, so you can't really
It's already signed.
unilaterally change a contract.
I have to say, it's not technically signed yet, though.
Well, it's not signed, but you had a meeting of the minds,
Yeah.
right? You voted on it, you agreed. If he said, I'm fine with that, then if he came and said he was fine with an amendment to the contract and signed an amended contract, then that would be fine. But if he said, no, this was the deal, then you guys are bound by the deal that you made.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My point is to avoid these problems for the future.
Right, yes, basically.
Council in agreement on this, you have comments on it, because what I'm thinking is have Tabitha come up with some more information, more template stuff, and put it on the next meeting 30 days from now.
I agree.
And I can also, hopefully when I get some things back, I can also kind of just provide more information about what other municipalities are doing. It doesn't have to be a one size fits all. You know, you guys can take a case by case approach to these projects when someone comes in.
Well,
If
we're
it's
turning,
something that you want to tweak your agreement, you just need to have a better understanding of what your agreement is and what a certain project might need or might not need.
we're turning this committee over from us, the council, to a new board. And we'd like to have that, well, yeah, because we've already got the thing laid out, who's gonna be the members of it, or positions to fill it. We just gotta have it so it flows as smoothly as possible, what we hand off and how they operate. Put it on the first meeting of June. Agenda, please. I give you enough time to come up with something. Thank you, Deb. That concludes the business in the land bank. I need a motion to adjourn the land bank meeting.
So
Need a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn the land bank meeting. And now I'd like to call the business meeting of the City of Smith Center to order. We have governing body reports. Who wants to go first? Ty, I'm gonna start at the bottom.
Okay. We had a nice Saturday turnout for the Young Eagles flight. She did a fantastic job, Melissa did. She had it all lined up,
All right.
so Kent, Art,
Yes.
everybody gave her attaboys. And
Attaboy, girl.
had over 50 kids come out. What was it, 54 or
50?
5?
We had right at 50, 45, 50.
Lots
Thank
of
you, Chuck.
adults. It was a really good event, really was. We ran right till 1.
I think the last plane landed with kids about 12:30, and then we fed them lunch, just some sandwiches.
Went and got them Subway. I was hoping Brady would stick around. Bought 20 or 30 sandwiches,
Yep,
fed everybody.
Where were they from, the pilots?
Ellsworth, Sylvan Grove, all around there. Some were retired,
It's just
like
something they
commercial
do
pilots.
It's
Yeah.
aviation awareness
yeah, they're
Try to
just
get kids
promoting
interested.
aviation and
and
the younger generation.
using aviation as a career.
They go to Kensington, down to Kerwin, Gaylord, and back up. Really? It's about a 25 minute ride.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
No loop-de-loos.
No, not between 9 and 2.
Well, good, I was pleased that turned out that way. Good. Everett, do you have anything to bring for the council?
have you had a chance, did they talk to you on those bathrooms at the golf course?
They have, but I've been out there. What were they plugged?
That's what it sounds like when,
Have they had the
our
septic
janitor
tank?
went out to look at them. He thought they were plugged.
Has the septic system been pumped in that lately? You know, Joe?
No, I haven't. I don't know that it's been pumped in a very long
Probably
time.
is due. And I don't even know where the septic system
I was
is.
just gonna ask, where's that at?
We can sure find out.
I think it goes straight west, but I am not sure.
Find that only tube going into the creek.
I think it goes east. East is going downhill.
Well, I don't know. I have no
Soon
idea.
as that-
I thought there was over by the propane tank, the stuff for the sewer. I don't know. I'll try to get out to
This is the one on the way back, isn't it?
This is the north end,
Yeah, this is
the
the
cinder block
northeast.
bathrooms that are out there by
Oh, behind five.
five.
Yeah,
By
like
five
five
bucks.
Oh, that's not that old.
No,
I don't know who put that in.
I don't remember.
Before my time.
What?
I remember when we put that in, I think, they go straight west of that.
Yeah, with the air
Just a
conditioning.
week ago.
No. It's probably just in the toilet itself, possibly. But we can go look at it, I'll look at it. Along with the other.
Is the golf board need more golf carts? Yeah.
Haven't said anything that I know of.
I bought 5 golf easy goes the other day, so. I had too much to drink.
How old are
One too many clicks.
Either 18s or 19s,
they? Gas or electric? Gas probably.
All electric.
All electric.
all 5 of them. There was 25 of them come off the thing. And I bought 5 of them. I can sell them for $3,000.
I'll bet you can.
City only uses gas. City only uses gas.
These are electric. Don, you have
Do
anything?
you know what the voltage is on that one? Are they 48s?
Yeah, but they're the lithiums.
Looks not look at it.
They're a lithium.
The light bulb goes
He's
off.
gonna order them first thing tomorrow.
You gotta get it in.
I don't know what the other say.
I was gonna say, do you know how old they are, the batteries?
They're
Oh, they're old.
They're original.
Okay.
They're a lithium.
In your humble opinion, they sell some Apple.
Yeah. You sell lithium?
He will. Oh, I know. Yeah.
All right.
Don, you have anything?
No, I went out by the pool the other day and the guys were hard at it. Getting everything ready to go.
Tracy, you have anything very quickly?
No, I do not. I think they're done with the project over here on New York. Or, yeah,
Really?
it's done except for, we've had a little complaints about some dirt, but we're gonna have some complaints because the street's got a lot of dirt on it.
We'll wait till they tear it up. and then
Oh, boy.
I was like, aren't
Yeah,
they
we've
doing
had a couple
sidewalks?
people
They
that
haven't done the sidewalks yet.
Upset, but
So they're
it's
not
like, you're gonna have a whole
very
new
much
street.
Right.
I do have a question on that
Yeah,
project.
it's not done.
When they do the sidewalks, are we putting them back where they are?
Now, they're 5 feet closer to the street.
I would like to change that if we can,
Cannot
because,
change that with.
listen, it's gonna be a major problem.
It will depend on the situation, but the reason they were doing that is to get it away from the lines a little bit and make sure that all of the sidewalk is actually in that easement area. There
I
are
wish
some
they would have looked at it
cases it
before,
changes.
because the water line's gonna be right underneath it.
They are in conjunction with our engineers on the street to make sure that that's working.
But it's
So if
not
they
right
move
on
it
top of the
5
water.
foot, it's gonna be right on top of the water line. No,
It's
5 foot.
from the side.
Right, I'm just telling you, there's a couple places.
Well, where they first started here, right?
It would have been nice though, because that sidewalk's the whole length of about a half a block. They're tearing out the old side, the old sidewalk.
Chris, you have anything very quick, council?
I did.
Your last page shows the selling amounts of the equipment we sold.
Yes.
And
Look at them beauties.
the first lot sold way more than I anticipated.
Well, that second one, somebody got a steal.
The second one, somebody got to
Yeah, see, it all works
Just can't let
out.
it get too
One
cheap.
person overpaid and
Might as well put it in your equipment reserve and balance out that balance.
Now, what did them mowers cost us? Not these, but the new ones.
21, 22, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Each.
So we've been working over the last 8 years to build up our equipment reserve. It's still sitting in a pretty good spot. But like we talked about before, our equipment was not on a good replacement schedule. And so we're just slowly kind of chipping away at that to where it can be on good.
What about our new, did we pick up the new KDOT truck?
Yes,
That's all.
it is home. Is it running? Fully, I don't think so.
What do you mean not running?
Well, it had some issues to start with. I think they're kind of going
We-
through it.
we
Did
knew
they
that.
say anything about it Friday?
So it's nuts.
They used it the other day up at Jefferson and Highway 36.
Yeah, and then we had to, James kind of called after the fact. We don't have the title yet, so.
Yeah. What about
We, you know,
Have
we
we-
take care of.
lined up getting rid of the one we're the part ways with?
Rick hasn't said anything on it yet. I could tell you.
This is Tommy Creek's.
That concludes our business meeting. Anybody have anything else? Need a motion to adjourn. Need a second?
Second.
Moving second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Motion carried. Thanks, everyone.
Back.
Oh.